So it's a super beautiful day here in Austin, Texas. Working outside a little bit, and I wanted to take a few minutes and kind of share a big win and a big lesson learned from this past week working for the agency and really working on scaling that business. And the big win was in the department of delegation, which it's never been a strong suit of mine. It's something I'm learning to do, but over the past probably month really, but the last week is when we had the really big breakthrough. It was about figured out a way to take a really complicated tracking process and teach other people how to do it so that it's mostly off my plate now. So now that's more of a team that I manage instead of a specific individual task that I have to do over and over and over. And the way that I was able to do this was two things. One, if this is something you struggle with and it's kind of inhibiting your productivity, take Michael Hyatt's course, michaelhyatt.com. He has a course called Free to Focus. It's phenomenal, and it's where I learned how to do a lot of this stuff. But I realized as I was putting this together that one of the big keys to making this work is actually frameworks. And I use Dave Ramsey as an example. He's an easy example to understand because a lot of people know him, and he's kind of a big reason why I'm able to do what I do just following his programs. But as you can imagine, personal finance questions are super complicated. There's like people call into his show with these crazy off-the-wall stories about what to do with their money, all that kind of stuff. And the way that he answers those is always by going back to his framework. He has a 7-step framework. So he's like, take whatever complicated question and say, okay, well, hang on a sec. Did you do step 1? Okay. Have you done step 2? All right, let's move on to step 3. That's how he makes decisions. It's a proven framework. He's done it over and over and over, and it takes these really complicated things and boils them down into something really simple. You can imagine trying to train somebody on answering financial questions correctly. It's hard, right? Instead, you can come up with a framework that encapsulates how you would solve the problem and how you do things, and then teach people how to use that framework. That's really what I was able to do with this really complicated tracking stuff. Figuring out sales funnel tracking and attribution and all this other stuff can get pretty complicated. But what I did was, and I didn't even realize this as I was doing it, it's just kind of how I naturally solve problems, but I built a framework out of it. And that framework was something that I could teach to somebody else who already has the basic concepts and skills of tracking. I can show them this framework, and in probably 2 hours tops, they can do what I do, and now we're speaking the same language, we're solving problems quickly, and it's all going really fast. So that was my big win for the week, and something that, as I'm able to realize the power of frameworks as they relate to delegation, something I'm going to be doing more and more and more of. See you next week.